In 1998, there were two small and insignificant things going on at the same time. One, here in Jacksonville, Mark Brunell had invited a few of his friends on the team over for a Bible study, and that night, literally all of them turned their lives over to Jesus, surrendered to Jesus, and some of their wives. It was amazing. The other simultaneous thing that was happening was Debbie and I. We were in Midland, Texas, pastoring the church we had planted 16 years prior. We were having a ball. The church was thriving, it was growing. We had a young family that was connected to the city. All kinds of things were going really, really well. But they said, Russ, would you go out and take a look at this and consider possibly taking the Bible study and turning it into a church? And so we did the Bible study, and we decided, we're gonna go back home. We love what we're doing. We love our church. We're gonna go back home. And they said, well, would you just come back out and do one more Bible study? And we agreed to, because who doesn't love coming to Florida if you live in West Texas in the desert? But we had determined in our heart, we're gonna do the Bible study, but this will be the last time that we come here. So when the Bible study was over, at some point in time, I walked out of the house and I went over to the corner of Harbor View and Newport Lane there. It was there that I sat there by a stop sign. I don't even think the stop sign's there anymore. And I said, Lord, I think I just felt you moving like you might want me to come here. And I said, Father, I love these kids. They're great. They're amazing. But is there a people to go with them? Because I need a people. I want to lead a people. I want to get in this city and find a people to serve and take care of and build and do great things with. And almost instantaneously, I hear the Lord say to me, I have a people here for you. You and Debbie must come. And I mean, it was shocking. So I walk back in the house and I get Debbie off to the side and go, the Lord is speaking to us and we're coming here. So with that small and insignificant beginning, Debbie and I joined the movement, God's movement here, what we call the Jacksonville movement, moved here and started the church. Now we started right there in the Marriott and had our first service there. And man, it was so exciting. We were all dressed up. Back then, everybody wore suits to church. The players said, we want to wear suits. So we all wore suits. And everybody was dressed up and we were excited. And the service that day was energy on steroids. Now, there was only 100 of us, but you would have thought the whole city was about to have an earthquake. And it was such a great moment, and growth just started happening immediately. Pretty soon, we'd rented all kinds of space around the Marriott there, and we were just running out of room. So we had to find a place to go. Now, we found a warehouse, what we fondly called the warehouse, just about 1.5 miles away. We'd go to the warehouse and find this space, and it was a ton of fun because we did a lot of the work ourselves. Man, everybody was excited. We built the stage ourselves. We built the rooms out ourselves. Everybody in the church was working on it, and everybody was super excited, and off we went into the warehouse and had an amazing season of growth. We started growing and growing and growing. It wasn't long and we were at 3 services and we were out of room, and we still didn't have a home of our own. And we all wanted that place to say, hey, we are here to stay. So people in the church all were looking for land. I was looking for land, but people in the church were always checking on options, trying to find some land. And then providentially, a man who we knew through mowing yards came to us and said, I know a piece of property that's just about to come on the market. He says, I actually mowed that for them. And he said, but it's not known by anybody and it's just about to be there. You should go check on it. So we drove over to it and we looked at it and said, we have to try to get this. It was 150 acres, the acreage we're on right now. And so through people mowing yards and knowing each other, we found out about this, met with the people. When they found out what we were gonna do with it, they made a special option and deal for us. And so the whole thing was just a God story running about how we got on this property. And you should have seen the day whenever we first opened the gate, because in the beginning it was just a gate with some trees around it that opened up into an opening. When the first set of cars started driving through the gate, we were all so excited to go to our own piece of land. We had one day where we went out and just prayed over the land and brought our little bottles of seed that we had, to sow your seed, and everybody had their little bottles of seed that we'd given out in the church. We had another time that we came out and staked out the building. We had a footprint of the building out on the property, and we staked out the building with these little orange stakes, and people were praying as a family at their stake for the building and what God was doing. It was super exciting. So here we are in the middle of this miracle, and now we got to build a building. And it was always for us big faith. So if we're going to build a building, build one. And that's what everybody wanted to do. So we were off and running with this building that we're in right now. But it took the sacrifice and commitment. And that's what I want to draw attention to. These things don't just go up. It means people sowed their life, their resources, their time, their treasure, their talent into it to make it happen. That's what a God story is, when all the people are involved in it. And it was so exciting to see what God was doing with us as He put this building up for us as a house that we could come and worship the Lord and say, this is Southpoint, we're here to stay. So then we were done. November 2005, we moved in, and since then, thousands of people have surrendered their lives to Jesus, been discipled, and lived transformed lives. It has been an amazing God story, seeing what God has done in these buildings to form His people. And that's what we learned. On the way to what you're doing, what is more important is who you're becoming. And so what was happening was God was building buildings, getting us new land. He was doing all these things we're excited about, but it was who the people were becoming. They were changing. They were being formed into something. So our history is not a history of buildings. Our history is a history of people's lives being changed, and then they, as a great people together, communicate the kingdom of God out into the city that we're called to. Over time, we realized that we were being led and guided by three dynamic values: big faith, radical discipleship, and spiritual family. Big faith because we believed in a big God. We knew He wanted to do big things with us, so we were going to have it no other way. Radical discipleship because we knew that God wanted to transform us and change us, and that would lead us to the good life. So we were investing in one another's lives. We were surrendering our lives in every way and form and fashion that we could find as we could learn how to obey Jesus day by day. And then we would become a people with big faith that are radically discipled over time, become a spiritual family. And God has been faithful. I mean, this people that I walk with are amazing. People have given their time, their talent, their treasure to make this whole thing happen. They have gone out into the city and they have told others about Jesus and invited them to the church services. And some of those people have become part of this great family. They have worshiped together. They have labored together. They have prayed together. They have gone on mission together. They have served together, and one of the coolest things is many of them are growing old together. They are a family that is walking together. I love being with them. They're the best. This 20 years for Debbie and I has been better than it has been for anybody else who's been here. Okay, so here it is, March 3rd, 2019. 20 years later from that small beginning, I'm going, what is this all about? Well, I think it's prologue. That's what I think. I think it's prologue. There's 900,000 lost people in the city of Jacksonville that Jesus wants to reach. I think this is all about Jesus preparing us to reach that 900,000 people, to touch this city with His glory, to bring His kingdom to bear on the world that we live, work, and play in. You and I have something we've got to do right now, because now's our time. Not the past, not the future. We're creating the future right now. You and I are continuing the God story called Southpoint Community Church. We got to get out and share the gospel. We got to make disciples. We got to serve. We got to raise godly families. We got to do what He's called us to do. There are people being born right now that are going to be a part of this family in the future. Because we're not supposed to be here 20 years or 30 years or 50. We're supposed to be here 100 years. This church is supposed to last as long as the city lasts. So with that in mind, we have to do our job now, and then we have to remember that we're building for a future. So when you think about it, right now, this 20 years has been prologue for right now in the future. It's just the beginning. It's the first chapter in the book. That would mean this: after 20 years of God's faithfulness, we look at it and celebrate it. But I want you to know this: we are just getting started.